Welcome to this episode of Coffee Time with Norm. In this episode, we will focus on choices and proper ways to move a structure. As always, our focus at Multi Shelter Solutions is to help you get it right, helping you to avoid some costly mistakes because you did not know. To clarify, the focus will be on moving intact in structures. Disassembling and moving is a whole separate discussion. To get started today, I will ask Norm to review why someone would want to move a structure. What benefits can the grower expect to achieve with this practice?
So yes, even though the benefits of moving a structure are not really part of this presentation, it does set a framework for uh, your consideration of whether this is the right thing for you to do. Now, the number one reason for uh, moving a greenhouse would be to extend the season. The way that this works is that you can start a crop very early on in the years, things that are cold tolerant, get them started, and then once they are established, now the building can be moved down the line a little bit, and you can start another crop in there. And then later on in the season, you can either move it back to the original location or moving it down the line, and you would start a crop there that would uh, you would move the greenhouse over that before there's any risk of frost, so that you can continue then harvesting that after the damaging frost has happened. Now, the second reason for moving a structure would be that you get fresh soil or grass. Now, if this is for something like chickens, then you would be moving it every few days so that they have fresh grass. But for when you're growing in the ground, the problem or the potential problem that you have is that the soil can become stale. And by having it outside and subject to the natural weather, the soil will air out and become more fresh, also with the benefit of snow and frost, more frost on it. The third reason why you would move a structure is that it is much easier to do some weed control outside, much more thoroughly beyond the scope of the greenhouse. And that way, when you're ready to plant, then you can move the structure onto that plot of land and plant in fresh soil.
Oh, thank you. That was good information. What kind of things would a person need to add to the greenhouse that would allow it to be moved?
Now, the first thing that needs to be seriously considered for a movable structure is that the ends need to be modified, because you are going to be either moving onto a crop or moving off of a crop. So the ends of that structure will have to have flaps on the bottom so that that can come up, so that when you're moving the structure, the plant material will not be damaged by that. The so this is something that significant thought has to be given to, as to how this is going to go. The 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 other thing that needs to that I should have actually said first is, when you consider what needs to be added to a structure, there's a number of factors that need to be considered. One is how often you're going to be moving it, and also the speed with which you need to move it. Uh, if this is something that you need to move very quickly, you've got a very short time frame, this would be something that it requires different things than if you're moving it once or twice a year. The thing that I need to emphasize in advance is that your structure is very vulnerable when you are moving it. You have released it from the anchors, and so this process has to be completed very quickly. Obviously, you're not going to do it on a day when the wind is already picking up, but as everyone knows, the weather can change very quickly. So that has to be kept in mind. So, especially if you are moving this building for the first time, it is really helpful if you can have some extra people available just to make the process go a little bit quicker and to accommodate the things that are bound to be unexpected. Now, then after the ends have been modified, you're going to be addressing how the structure is going to be moved. As you can see on the screen, we can outfit the base beam with skis so that when you are sliding the building, this will not be stuck to the ground, and as you're moving it, it's not going to dig into the ground. Now, in this photograph, there are actually two parts to the base, and they are sandwiched around a wooden base beam. Typically, that wooden beam is still part of the package simply because it gives more height to the sidewall, especially for finishing off the bottom uh, of the roll-up sides. Now, in this photograph, there is also a steel base on the top, and there are a few people that add this to the package. Typically, the base brackets that are part of our standard package are added right to the base beam. By adding the steel to it, you are adding a bit of extra rigidity to it. So if this structure is being moved a little bit more frequently, and especially over uneven terrain a little bit further, this would be something to consider, is to have that extra strength built into the base. The If the structure is going to be moved or has to be moved very quickly and frequently, uh, customers will get into a system with either wheels or with tracks. The tracks is a whole separate, uh, a much more complicated system because it's not just a matter of putting something on the ground and rolling over it. That track has to be properly anchored, and the structure has to be anchored to the track. Now, one of the considerations that many people uh, include in their package when the structure is being moved is that they will get an extra set of anchor posts. This will then allow them to have the anchors set in the new position in advance of the move. You're reducing that potential length of vulnerability for the structure. Now, if you are not going to go to the expense of the extra anchors, then at the very least, you would need to just take a couple of those anchors off of the structure and install them in the new location so that you can get a sense of uh, what you may encounter. Obviously, a couple of anchors will not uh, tell the whole story, but if you are moving this to something with extremely hard soil or a lot of rocks, uh, this needs to be considered and seriously considered.
Thank you, Norm. I would expect that even with all these things provided for and considered, there are some important things to be considered when moving. Can you outline one of those things for our viewers?
The One of the things that needs to be decided sort of ahead of time, whether you're going to be moving this mechanically or with human power. Uh, there's there's different things that would apply either way. And if you are moving it with a tractor, one of the serious considerations that you need um, to consider is the fact that the tractor will generate noise. And if a structure is starting to be moved and something is sticking or caught, you may not hear the structure creaking and groaning in complaint of the fact being moved. So if you are moving it with a tractor, you need to be very careful of this. When you are moving it with human power, the one thing that really needs to be taken into account is that you may have stronger people on the one side than on the other side, and would move the structure out of square. So one of the things that you're doing in preparation for the move is to put a crisscross inside the structure so that you're maintaining square. When the stronger people are pushing a little bit harder, in effect, what they're doing is move or helping the other side as well with the way that this is tied together. Now, the other thing that is going to happen when you are starting to move the building automatically wants to spread out. And so, roughly every 12 feet, you need to tie the two sides together so that you're maintaining the width of the building. The the other thing, when you are pulling it with a tractor, so you would be pulling to a V at the front, what that wants to do is collapse the front of the building. So you're going to have to put something in the front to really add some rigidity to it so that uh, it maintains the width of the building. But of course, this has to be put with enough height so that when you're moving either onto a crop or off of, yeah, moving onto a crop, that you're not doing damage to those plants. Now, I would strongly urge you that when you have done all of these things and you are sort of the day before you're going to move the building, just give us a call so that we can sort of recap these things with you, just so that we can sort of verbally go over the checklist with you to make sure that everything has been considered. Because, as was mentioned in the beginning, our goal always has been to help customers get it right. We certainly don't want to receive a phone call where, this broken part needs to be replaced or that. So, urge you to give us a call and discuss this. And I wish you productive growing.